So how do you make money owning a franchise? Is it possible to replace your full-time income with owning a franchise? Is it possible to own a franchise and still operate in your full-time job and make money from both things? And is it possible to start a franchise while you have your full-time job and then eventually just go directly to owning your franchise and only doing that and replace your income? These are some of the questions that I'm going to answer in this video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tariq Johnson. I built a 7-figure franchise business with multiple locations in California and in Florida. And in this video, we're gonna go over the 6 ways that you can make money owning a franchise. Hey, so before we get started, consider subscribing below down to the channel. I post videos every Monday and Friday, all about how to start or grow a franchise or business. And then once you have your franchise and business, what to do with that money once you make it. I've also spent 13 years investment licensed and managed over $100 million for my clients, helping them invest their money and figuring out what to do with it. So let's jump in. All right, so number 1 is that you can buy a new franchise. So in buying a new franchise, that's typically when you approach a franchisor. If you don't know what a franchisor is, you can check this video above and I explain the difference between franchisor and franchisee. But by buying a new location, you're typically opening that location from scratch. So if that's a retail location, so meaning a physical business where you actually have to open up a business and finish out the space and make it look nice, that's one way. When you're opening up a new franchise business, it's typically a little bit more expensive because you're opening up from scratch. It's a brand new location. And so there are a lot of costs associated to that, in addition to having to pay your initial franchise fee with the franchisor. There's also a lot more risk in opening up a new franchise location. You're opening up a new location that has no revenue, it has no sales, and you don't have a proven track record with that specific location, although the franchise as a whole likely has a proven track record with a number of other locations, whether in your area or nationwide, that have been making money and open for a number of years. Now, the benefits to opening up a new location is that you get to pick your territory or your location. So an existing location where you don't get to pick where the location is because it's already there, a new location, you can do research and figure out what location you want your business to be in, whether it's a physical retail location, or if it's a business where there's not one specific location and you're serving a customer base in like a geographic area or territory, then you get to select the territory that you get to own or start your business in. So what's exciting about starting a completely new franchise is that you get to start from scratch. You get to design it and create it and build it the way that you want and the way that you imagine it from the beginning. So as an example, when my wife and I opened up our first location in California, we opened up our location in a brand new shopping center. Not only was it a brand new location, but the shopping center when we signed our lease was a dirt lot. This actually wound up benefiting us in a pretty big way because the shopping center wound up becoming the go-to destination for all things food in that specific area, and we were right off of the highway, and that community really needed it. So because of that, we were able to get our location profitable in the first 60 days of owning that business after investing over $300,000 to get that business open. So, that was a big relief for us. Now, I actually created and documented that process of exactly what we did to help other business owners like yourself in my 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days. You can head over to my website, tariqjohnson.com, and grab it completely for free. It's jam-packed full of knowledge and exactly what we did to get that business profitable. It's a very short read. You can knock it out in probably about 10 or 15 minutes. Hey, real quick, if you're getting some value out of this video so far, make sure you hit the like button below. It helps the YouTube algorithm, so it helps people to see this video. So make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Again, it helps a lot and you're gonna get a lot of valuable content. So number 2 is you can buy an existing location. So buying an existing location, generally speaking, is going to have lower risk than buying a new location. So when you buy an existing location, typically the price you're going to pay for that location is going to be some sort of multiple of the profit that that business makes. So as an example, if you're buying a business for, let's say, 3 times the earnings, let's say the earnings would be the profit. So if the business is making $50,000 and you buy it for 3 times the earnings, then you pay $150,000 for that business. In that case, you know what to expect for the business. You should have done research on the financial statements and you verify that the business is generating those sales, making that profit. And so you know what you're going into. And you also have done your research on whether there's opportunity to grow the business significantly. Maybe the owner wasn't as involved in the business, and so you stepping in, you have the opportunity to really market it, make the business better, and maybe take it from earning only $50,000 a year profits to $75,000 a year, or $100,000, or $150,000 a year. But at least you know what you're getting into. There are some risks with buying an existing location. One is which, depending upon the type of business that you're buying, it could be very dependent on that existing owner, the relationships that they have, and specific strategies and tactics that they may have been using in that business. Also, when you buy an existing business, you're typically going to be taking over those employees that were running in that business. So another example here is when we bought our location in Florida, we bought it as an existing location. I saw significant opportunity to improve the business. The previous owner had done a great job of marketing the business and getting out in the community, but wasn't really doing a great job at the operations side of the business. So I figured we could come in and improve the operations, and that would be able to help keep more of the customers that come in for a first time and provide a better experience to the existing customers that we had. One of the challenges that we had was staffing. So there was not a high standard with the staff, and they just kind of did whatever they want. Me coming in as the new owner and being pretty strict on the standard that I set, they didn't really like that, and there was some pushback. So what happened was, over about a 6 to 9 month period, we gradually got rid of all those old employees, and it took us some time to really solidify a strong employee base. And I was really in there getting my hands dirty, digging in, getting involved in the community, and making sure that the store was running to the standard that I wanted to set. So the third way is to own a franchise with a partner. So this is a really interesting concept. One of the cons to owning a franchise is that you typically need a lot of money to get it open. I mean, our location in California took $300,000 to get that location open. A lot of franchise companies have requirements on you having a certain amount of liquid net worth, meaning money in your checking account, savings account, CDs, retirement accounts that you can access quickly, and then having an overall net worth. So the franchise company that we got involved in, they required us to have $100,000 liquid and a $300,000 total net worth. You may not have that. You may not be in a position yet where you've accumulated that type of net worth. In that case, you can potentially partner with someone. Maybe you're halfway there and you find someone else who is halfway there, and you guys decide to sign a franchise agreement together and open a location together. In that situation, maybe you guys are both active in the business, or there's a situation where one of you run the business actively and the other one still has a full-time job and is really just more of a passive investor in the franchise. I know the franchise company that we were in, there were 2 young guys that ran this model and did it very successfully. They had 2 of the top stores in the entire franchise system. One of them managed all the stores personally. They didn't have a manager for those locations. The other guy had a financial background. He kept his job for a corporate company, and he would manage all of the financials and the financial statements and different things like that for the business. And that model worked really well for them. So that's something to consider when looking to own a franchise, is potentially who can you partner with. It's also valuable to partner with someone that maybe complements your skill sets. For me personally, my strength is in operations and managing and operating the business and putting systems and structures and efficiencies in place. Now, I've had to learn how to market and be creative with the business, but overall, that was part of the side that my wife really was able to provide value in. When we would hold different events for our franchise and our location, I would dread us having to go and pass out flyers and knock on other businesses and doors in our community. My wife loves that sort of stuff. So whenever we had an event and we had flyers printed out and we needed to hit up the different shopping centers in our community to get some flyers out, I would always ask my wife to do it, because the idea of me going in, passing out these flyers, it was just something that I really didn't want to do. So if you're looking to partner with someone to open a franchise business, not only can you partner someone to help make sure you get the financial resources, you may already have the financial resources, but you want to partner with someone because of the unique skill set and talents that they're able to offer with the business. Number 4 is to be an active owner. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. An active owner is typically going to be an owner who is working day in and day out in that franchise business. This may be a term that you may have heard before, which is buying a job. So you're actively working day to day in the franchise business. You may be working 40 hours a week. You might be working 50 or 60 hours a week, or even more. I mean, as you probably know, a lot of business owners and franchise owners work more than 40 hours a week in their business. Now, one of the benefits to being more of an active owner in your franchise business is you always know what's going on in your business. You always have your finger on the pulse with your employees, with your staff, with your customers, with your marketing, and you have an idea of what your opportunities are in your business, what your challenges are in your business, and how to make sure to address those to make sure that your business is successful. The other benefit to being an active owner is that that's one more employee or staff member that you're not having to pay in your business. In our business, where we had a manager running our location in California because we had moved, if I had been actively running that location of business, I would not have had to pay a manager in order to run the store, and that would just increase the profit and margin. Now, at some point, you have to calculate the difference and make sure that it makes sense for you. For our store in California, we were paying our manager somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 a year. For me to just increase our margins by $30,000 or $40,000 a year didn't make a lot of sense, because my earning potential and capacity outside in the full-time world as a financial advisor and in the financial services industry was much higher than that. I was basically making the bet that I would make more than that and then keep the spread or the margin of that difference and just be able to generate more of a passive income in my franchise. If you do want to learn more about specifically how I ran my franchise businesses and was able to generate passive income from them, I actually created a video explaining that process, how it worked, what it was like, the pros and the cons. So you can click here on the video about how I make passive income owning a franchise. So number 5 is semi-absentee ownership. So semi-absentee ownership basically means that you're not working day to day in the business, but you're still involved in the business. So as an example, once we moved from California to Florida, I had a manager owning and operating that business. And even prior to us moving, I had a manager, and there would be times where I would go play golf during the day, or I would go run errands, or do things out the house, or work on other projects at home, and the business was still running. Now, it was semi-absentee ownership because I was still involved in the business. I was still looking at our sales reports on a day-to-day basis. I was still involved with different challenges that came up. Sometimes I would go to the store once or twice a week to hire employees or have coaching conversations or retrain and just make sure that things were going smoothly in the business. Now, once we moved, that process looked a little bit different, and although I was still a semi-absentee owner, I would really only get on a call about once a week with my store manager to check in, to look at our sales numbers, our labor numbers, to see how our margins were doing, to check our mystery shop reports, and our corporate audits that would come out to see how our business was operating. So at this point, I was less and less involved in the business and really just overseeing and making sure that our numbers looked right for the business, that we were still making money, profitable, and growing. And at some point, I started to kind of teeter on the edge of number 6, which is being an absentee owner. An absentee owner is when you are really not involved in the business whatsoever. You really have a whole team that manages and operates that business, and at the end of the day, you're just either collecting the profits for the business, or if the business isn't going well, you're putting money in to fund the loss of the business. In this case, I started to become more of an absentee owner of the business because I really was just getting on a call about 30 minutes a week with my store manager, and they were doing all of the hiring, all of the firing, running payroll, all of the bank deposits, all of the coaching conversations, all of the ordering for the business. So they were really handling everything. Really, the main thing that I was handling was overall looking at the numbers and making sure that we were continuing to grow. So absentee ownership can have a lot of risk though. When you are an absentee owner, you really don't have the finger on the pulse of what's going on in your business. There could be employee issues that you aren't aware of. People could be stealing from you. You could be missing out on sales opportunities for the business that you're not even aware of. You could have unhappy customers that you're losing because your staff really doesn't care about the business. They don't see you or hear from you, and they're kind of checked out. They're on their phone. They're doing different things that really aren't things that you might accept if you're actually more involved in the business. So those are the 6 different ways that you can make money as a franchise owner. Again, if you got some value out of this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, hit the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, and go ahead and check out my franchise series playlist here. It has a bunch of different videos on owning, operating, starting franchise locations, or even traditional business locations. And I'll see you guys on the next one.